and gentlemen, we are back with Petey's Awesome Guest Panel, episode 50. Man, I didn't even think I was going to reach 5, let alone 50. And man, what a guest star we have here tonight. Because my guest star is a huge blockbuster guest. And no, I'm not referring to this, even though this was pretty good growing up as a kid in the 90s. I'm talking about a woman who is not just a Power Ranger legend and a Fox Kids legend, but a woman who personifies charisma, high energy, colorful personality, empowerment, both on screen for her love for world domination and fashion, as well as off screen for her passion for life and being a hardworking mother. And you know, they say the late great James Brown was the godfather of soul. Well, my guest star is the godmother of charisma. She is one of the main villains on Power Rangers Time Force. My guest at this time is Miss Kate Nadira Sheldon. Kate, how are you today? Welcome.
I am great. Thank you. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing fantastical. And
fabulous. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be on your show.
Anytime, it's a total honor. Not to make a movie reference here, but instead of 13 going on 30, I've been a fan of your work since I was 11, so it's really 11 going on 31, except I'm not Jennifer Gardner. It is absolutely an honor, and also next time I'm going to invest in a better green screen. And again, I apologize for this.
Oh, that's fantastic. It looks great. Thank you. I'm very honored. I'm so honored to be on your show.
I should have gotten the square one, and I'm very honored to have you though. Before we get into the Power Ranger questions though, I do want to ask, and this is going to be a typical cliche question, and that is, how did you get your first big break in acting?
Oh my goodness. I was just lucky, just plain lucky. I got to say, there's lots of actors out there. A lot of us all look alike, and luck has a lot to do with it. In fact, I never was in plays or theater or any acting classes. I was working one day and I was on a sales call and I walked past a trailer that was a movie trailer, and it had people rushing around with headsets and walkie-talkies, and there were cables and cords, and just it was like a Borg situation. There were people everywhere and they were all very official looking. It was so exciting. I said, "What is going on? This looks like fun." And I was there in my little business suit with my briefcase, and they said, "Oh, we're filming a TV series." And I said, "Really? What is it? And how does someone become involved? Because there's like 150 people around here, and surely there's a job for anybody." And so they said, "Well, you can be an extra on the show. Just call this number." And so I called the extras casting company, and the next day I was on the TV set, and I was so excited, and worked my first full day on a TV show called Nightman, with the famous producer Glenn A. Larson, who did Battlestar Galactica and a whole bunch of 80s kind of movies and shows, and 90s. So at the end of the working day, it was close to 10 o'clock at night, and I get a call from the casting company that was doing the extras casting, and they said, "Would you be interested in being the personal assistant for the producer?" And I said, "You mean like on the show?" Or, "No, you'd be his personal assistant. You would take his notes, answer his phone calls, ride around in his limousine, go to his business lunches, and go to his script readings." And I said, "Sure, this sounds very exciting." And so I said, "But how does he even know who I am?" And he remembered from lunch earlier that day. The extras always eat last. We were waiting in line, waiting for lunch, and the casting and crew were all going through first. And there was about 150 of them. And it was one long line table. And they spent a lot of time at the beginning of the table getting their utensils and their napkin and their plate. And then they went through the line. Well, I quickly divided the line into two, so people went down both sides of the table. And I was wrapping up utensils and papers and handing them out efficiently. So lunch was like done in 15 minutes instead of a full hour. And the extras were all happy, especially me, because I was hungry and the food was fantastic. So he had remembered that I'd expedited the line and was very organized. And he says, his personal assistant had quit that day. So he wanted someone that was organized. And so I got to work for Glenn A. Larson for about a year. And when I wasn't assisting him when he was directing, I got to be a stand-in before the actual actor comes in. So I got to learn what a shot schedule looks like an establishing shot and a close-up and a reverse and a point of view. And so how the shot schedules work is it's a very logical format that you film in, and also etiquette on the set, and just got used to what set life was. And so I worked on that for about a year. And then I heard the extras talking about getting an agent. And I said, "Well, how do you get an agent? I mean, I know how to get extras job thing, but to be an actual actor that's on camera. And they said, well, there's this thing called the Blue Book that's at the Samuel French bookstore that has a list called the agencies. And it has all the agencies listed, and there's like 500 of them. And some of them represent kid actors, some of them represent leading man, leading lady, but your category is ingenue, which is between ages 16 and 25. And so that's the category that you're in. So you would look for the agencies that are looking for ingenue. So I ended up sending off, I got some professional headshots printed up, sent them off to over 100. And then I got a call back from a small commercial agency, and they said, you know, we're not going to take anyone new on, but we'll send you to this audition for this commercial, for this high-tech thing. We don't even really know what it is, but it's a national commercial, and we just want the casting director to see you, and you can kind of get used to the audition process, and then we'll get some feedback. Well, I walked in, and it was a room filled with people, and they had all this weird terminology, like click on the links. And back in 1998, no one really knew what that meant. And so we were all asking, what does this mean? How, you know, what is click on the links? And it turned out it was an America Online ad, and it was national, and it was union, and it paid buckets of money. And so the casting, so the agency said, okay, yeah, we'll take you on, because they, of course, needed their commission. And then as a result through that, I got about 50 more commercials really quickly of all major national things, but I still couldn't get a theatrical agent. So in the business, you get to have a commercial agent, which is TV commercials, and then you can also have a theatrical agent, which is for film and television shows. And not only that, but you can have one in LA and one in San Diego and one in Orange County. So technically you can have 6 agencies all out there representing you. So I quickly got a theatrical agent, and the lady in Orange County who called me to read said, I've got just the thing for you, darling. She was from New York. She says, I've got just the thing. You need to go, it's this spacey thing. It's called Power Rangers. And go check it out, and you've got this audition tomorrow. So I went to the audition, and I read the lines, and the casting director, there was hardly anyone in the room, and I later found out I was one of the last people they had seen. Over 500 ingenues, same age, same type, everything as me. And the next day they were doing callbacks, and they had been spending a month and a half looking for Nadira. And so I was one of the last people, and she says, do the scene again one more time, but really witchy. And so I moved into that character. And she says, excellent, come back tomorrow. So I got the call back, and I couldn't believe my luck. My first audition for a show, and I get the call back. But when I got there in Valencia, there were like 30 other girls there that looked just like me, same height, same type, same everything, almost same outfits. We all were kind of wearing spacey things with high boots and short skirts and really cool necklaces. And everyone was in groups of 5, and I kept seeing groups of 5 girls leaving the building and going in and going out. And then so I went in and read the part, and then I left, and I was starting to drive back to San Diego, where I lived at the time. And my cell phone rang and said, get back there. They love you. They want you to read again. And I said, I couldn't believe it. So I went back, and now there were just 5 of us. And they had us reading, standing next to each other. And I was not the tallest one there. I wasn't the shortest, but it was almost all, we all looked exactly alike. And there was the producer, the director, Koichi Sakamoto, and 3 other people that were in the casting process. And then they said, all right, everyone can go home except for, they named the other girl's name and mine. And I almost like freaked out. And so they had me reading the Pink Ranger's part and had her reading Nadira. Then they had her reading the Yellow Ranger and me reading the Pink Ranger. And for another hour, they had us going around and around just to see the scale of how we could act. And then went home for the day, and I got a call about an hour later, and they told me I got the part. And so that was my big break.
Very awesome. Like incredible story, inspirational story too. Like, okay, like, and I do, you just mentioned Power Rangers too. Like, you know, I love the Nadira character. I thought she was charismatic. I thought she was witty, and at the risk of sounding, you know, like Nadira, or at the risk of sounding like a Valley boy, but it is like so awesome having you on this show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, such a total honor. Like, you know, with Power Rangers Time Force, I loved it. You know, I remember a week after my 11th birthday, Time Force came out. So that was an extra cool birthday present I got. And, you know, it was so awesome. What was your memory?
So your birthday's in February?
No, January, because January 25th.
Oh, okay, that's right. Well, that's wonderful. Okay. I remember it came out right around Valentine's Day. So,
Oh, it did?
yeah, well, maybe that.
I thought it was February 4th.
Oh, it was February 4th. You're right. I'm mixing it up. That's great.
Uh, I want to get your memories, of course, and there will always be like, there's always that saying, you only leave one memorable impression. And of course, you did in the first episode of Time for Us when you saved Rancic from being taken to the police office, playing dead, playing possum on the road. What was you did your first line in that episode, I'll never forget it to this day, was when you said, you're going to be the ones that are going to need the doctor or the ambulance.
You will be the ones needing the ambulance.
Yes. Memories of shooting that episode, the first.
Well, that scene was shot at night, as you can tell, it being dark. So we'd start at 8 p.m. and end at 6 a.m. So that was what we call an overnight shoot. And it was really amazing because that big giant car got pulled in that was like a semi trailer or whatever from the future. And I had worked on that earlier in a different TV series as a stand-in. So I saw the driver, everything again. But anyways, it was super dark. And we had just met the Rangers literally only once before. And here they are in their Ranger suits, Lucas and Katie. And since it was dark and it was nighttime, it was pretty cold. And I remembered standing there and we had to shoot that scene so much. And my little cape was keeping me warm. And then they had all the explosions with me knocking the truck out. And then Jen comes from the ashes and she's going to shoot and kill. And she was so much of a stunning actress. She literally almost passed out because she was so fixated on having just been in an accident and showing it and losing her captive and seeing me. And that's when I come dancing out. Oh, Daddy, I need a new dress. This one got filthy from lying on the street. And then here she comes, and it was such a contrast, and it was ominous, and I'll never forget that. It's when I first met Erin, and it was lovely to work with her the whole year.
So cool. And one thing, like, Erin, is it Cahill? Her last name?
Cahill.
Cahill. Erin Cahill, Jason Font, they're all great. Daniel Southworth, absolutely great. And, all of you did a great job. Vernon, I told Vernon that when I had him on the show, I loved his role, as Rancid, because the way the way he was telling the story about how he became deformed, how he became an outcast. It really made the viewers, at home, made them really feel like a villain sympathizer. When I watched that, it made me have sympathy for Rancic.
Me too. He's a phenomenal actor. He's a legend, a living legend.
He is. And you know what? Much like him, Kate, I always said, you and him are a combination of Tim Curry and, of course, the late, great Phil Hartman. And by that, I mean that, you could play the seedy type villain, but also be very comical too, because there's times when he's comical and there's times when you're absolutely nailing it. I always said, you could take, Kate, you're so charismatic, so you have tons of charisma that you could take, Nadira could take the phone book and make it entertaining reading it. That's how good you are.
Well, we did have great chemistry, and Vernon was kind of my acting coach throughout the whole thing because he had been in over 80 major motion pictures before Power Rangers. And so he was cracking up everyone on the set. Sometimes he'd go on and they would just keep rolling film because he was hysterically funny and everyone was laughing. And we have these outtakes that show these scenes. So it was a joy to work with him. And it was good chemistry between the uber evil, ugly, scary dad and his spoiled evil daughter. And so we had a lot of fun. In fact, I don't know, I think Nadira is the only comedic villainess ever.
What was that?
I think Nadira is the only comedy-based, funny villainess of Power Rangers.
Definitely, you were definitely, I believe so. And also, not to mention too, the only one I believe, that had, Amy role had, her father was a scorpion. She was the daughter of Scorpius Shakina. You're actually the first human daughter of a human villain, which that dynamic will always stay intact. And your season is the last season where it was fully Fox Kids before Saban sold the rights to Walt Disney, and then it became Disney's property, Power Rangers.
Yeah, it was also the last one before they moved to filming in New Zealand. So we got to film all over Los Angeles, and it was the last one before it moved away.
And I do want to get your thoughts, of course, on one of my favorite episodes is Movie Madness. And I know we talked about this before, Kate, Movie Madness. Oh, there it is. The same sign that was on the door in the episode. And especially when you came out and you said, I'm going to be a star. Memories of shooting that episode, because I thought it was great, like seeing like the Dale Evans, Roy Rogers type Western.
Yes, it was amazing. And I got to shoot with both the Red and the Green Ranger in the same episode. Usually it was just one Ranger at a time, but boy, I got to nail those both in the saloon with the barroom brawl and have a high noon standoff with them. And what was amazing is so the Gene Autry Melody Ranch, or Roy Rogers, it was also John Wayne, is historic and huge. And almost all these old Westerns that you would recognize, it was all filmed there. And so when I arrived on the set, it was incredible. And I got to wear a vintage outfit that was probably 60 or 70 years old as well. So just filming, and the extras that they had and the other actors, that when I arrived that morning, they looked authentic, like they'd come out of time from the past. They even had spray on sunburn that made them look like they'd been out in the sun all day. They were all dusty with their duster coats, and a lot of the extras had been in other Western movies. So I recognized them. And the guy who says, "You lily livered yellow belly," whatever, at the bar scene, he's famous in some other movies that are Western. So it was super fun. And I think every actor wants to have their bucket list item is to be in some Wild West movie. And so it was a dream to bust in the saloon and start the barroom brawl, and it was wonderful. It was my favorite definite episode.
You made a grand entrance too in the saloon. I remember like when you were like, he burned down my barn and he also stole my daddy's boots.
Yes, and then I had a ransom I was going to award $500 to the man who brings him to justice.
Put a bounty on them.
Yep, put a bounty on it. Started the fight. It was amazing. And the Western fighters with like 20 other real legit Western guys, along with the Power Rangers guys. It was just a blowout. It was so much fun.
I had fun watching. I was rewatching it, like, all the episodes, all 40 episodes, the last 3 days, nonstop binge watching. And, just the delivery, like just the emotion, the intent, the comedy, it's just there in time for us, especially with a theme song. Like I always say, after the post-Autumn era, when you guys were doing the series, like all of them, like Lost Galaxy, Lightspeed, Time Force, Wild Force, Ninja Storm, and Dino Thunder, because that was really the era before SPD took over, and that became a totally different entity because it took place in the future. Time Force did too, but then they went back to 2001. Especially with the theme song, like I mentioned before, the theme song for Time Force, I'll never forget it too, where you have a theme song that goes time force, time force. So it's like very motivational, if you ask me.
Yes, and it sounds like Wes's voice. Did you ever put that together? It sounded like Jason Font singing it.
I didn't think about that. I gotta re-listen to that.
He's got a slight Chicago accent, and that's where Jason's from, Wes. And so every time I hear it, I was always thinking, boy, that sounds like Jason. I wonder if he's the one who's singing on that.
I definitely love to have him on the show in the future, though. And with your character, Kate, though, she's the type of villain, that's so charismatic, so, it's arrogant, but it's a good arrogance, though, because it gives her character, though. It's like, she's like this, like if she sees the Rangers, she's like, these guys. Like if they show up, or like if you have to go down and unfortunately Nadira has to get her hands dirty, she'll be like, oh, great, my dry cleaners are going to love this.
Get my hair redone.
Yeah. In fact, I remember one episode, I had to look at which one it was. You were like, you're just lucky I have a hair appointment before vanishing.
I love the vanishing. I'd do a big spin with my cape, and then they would put the pink dust and smoke into it afterwards. And I was doing a flourish. It was very exciting to be able to disappear at a moment's notice.
And one thing everyone's gonna always remember about Nadira too, I mean, one of her trademarks are her nails.
Yes.
Her
Mhm.
sharp claws. What
Yes.
can you give me like the origin of like how like the character developed this? Like was this your input or was it something the show wanted or both?
I think all villainesses need to have long fingernails. And I had actually three different sets. So I had the pink and purple airbrush that were kind of regular length, and then I had ones that extended out. And that's what we moved to because the original ones that I was life cast for that were attached to a glove didn't quite work. They didn't stay on or something like that. It looked more like a grill accessory, but I was able to use it like a sword. And the stuntman taught me different sword patterns, like a star pattern and other. And so it was with great flourish that I could maneuver these nails into these really cool motions. And fun fact, Nadira also had hair that morphed into a lasso and caught the Rangers. It morphed 25 feet, but only in the original Japanese episode. They couldn't get it to work on the series that I was on, but we had it on the set one day, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready because I had taken lasso lessons, and I was ready to start lassoing it and catch the Rangers. But that was another one of my tools that I had available was a lasso that was my hair.
That's a very interesting, like I didn't know that interesting fact. It's pretty cool. Before I ask my next question, how is the camera though? Am I coming in? Is there a delay or?
It's perfect. Your sound is excellent too.
Oh, thank you. And also, you told a very funny story at the 2018 Morphicon in regards to your nail. You said that, and I remember this because I watched it on YouTube. You said that one time, like during a break, they accidentally got into a bag of potato chips.
Oh, great. Yes, my fingernails. It had really strong glue, but sometimes the oil in the potato chip bag, would make them come off. And everyone would know that Nadira had been in the potato chip bag. Hungry all the time. We were working 12 to 14 hours a day. I was kicking Power Rangers butt all day long and I needed to eat. And the catering was fantastic. There was a catering truck that had all this, every food that you ever wanted. And I love potato chips. Yeah, I just love them. So but they never had the mini bags. They always had the big honkin' bag. And everyone was going for the big honkin' bag. So whoever got there first would eat them. So I was eating them and hopefully no one ate my fingernail.
And oh man, like I and definitely we talked. You mentioned food though. And I shared this story with Justin Nimmo when I had him on the show, who was the Silver Ranger in space though. Man, like I said like I was there for like every single moment on Time Force. I was that 11-year-old boy every Saturday watching Fox Kids Time Force every morning while eating my Lunchables and drinking my blueberry Kool-Aid. That's how much I was a fan of the show.
Oh my gosh. Well, we had a lot of set visitors. I wish you would have been one of them, but the set visitors were always scared spitless of me until I would kneel down and go, oh, it's just me. I'm not really mean. But it would have been lovely to meet 11-year-old you.
I would definitely, because I always found Nadira intimidating, but then again, I was that shy kid growing up, so that's just me. But yeah, I mean, you played the role very well, though. No pun intended to Vernon, but you guys played it very well. And also, I say this too, Kate, is that the episodes like that you're in, like just there's not one scene where it was everything was excellent. You have not only style and finesse, but you also have great acting prowess.
I think the script writers had a lot to do with everything, though, because they gave me the best one-liners. It was awesome. Kudos to Judd and Jackie Marchand.
And also Nadira, though, what I loved about Nadira is her, like, she's sharp as a tack, so quick-witted. Like, she, like, I could see her, like, being in disguise as, like, working in a coffee shop, or say something like serving the Rangers, trying to, poison them or something, and like you're like this. Oh, can I get you something with that? Cream, sugar, death. Oh, what was that last one? Sugar. Sugar.
You totally should write this. Send this in to Power Rangers. Write your suggestions in. Make sure you trademark them first.
Oh, I will. I definitely. There was another one too. It was like something similar. Like Nadira could be in disguise working in an ice cream shop, and while she's serving ice cream to the Rangers, she goes, "Oh, can I get you something with that? Whipped cream, sprinkles, death." Ooh, what was that last one? Oh, sprinkles.
Death.
Well, and then they'll go. What was that?
Who are you? What? Oh, Nadia!
I have to ask you this too, because I always wondered this as a little boy though. Like when they have the villains like fade away, like when you disappear like from a fight scene, how do they do that though? Like the illusion of that.
Well, I got to go to the CG studio because I was curious too. Because we would film it, we would just keep walking, and then sometimes they'd have some smoke with pyrotechnics underneath, and we'd just turn to that. But I went to the studio. There's so many different entities. There's digital voice recording, there's the publicity, and then there's the computer, the editing, and there's the CG. And I got to meet the technicians and walk in, and it was like walking into literally a Borg facility with all these screens and all these people, and it was all black, kind of like your studio. And I got to see they would take raw footage and then they would inject in, they would key in is the term, whatever they wanted, smoke, explosions, fire. It's just editing tricks. And there's a lot of jobs in Hollywood that specialize in that, probably more than actors, to be honest.
Oh, awesome. And one thing that Nadira is, I mean, despite being very like a fashionista, like very like very cool. Like she's also no stranger to hand-to-hand combat. And my question was going to be, what is the choreography like when you have to battle like said Rangers? Like like how is the choreography when you're battling with the Rangers or the people in the suits?
Well, we do all our own choreography. There's no stand-ins. And the reason why is because it's very precise. And so there's a stunt coordinator and then there's a director. And the most famous of the Power Rangers ones is Koichi Sakamoto. And so we would block it first. And that is, we would run through and then we would dissect who's standing where. So you get to understand where the camera is going to be, whether it's an establishing shot, which is wide, or close up, or an over the shoulder point of view, or a reverse. There's a one shot, there's a two shot. So the camera operator would look around while it's being blocked, but it was very precise. And the stuntmen, almost all of them had worked on this series for many, many years. So they were very adept at understanding what the director wanted. And a lot of the moves are out of this world. They're right out of Japan. Very technical. They're not normally what you see in America. So a lot of the stuntmen were gymnasts. And I joined them on Wednesdays at the LA Stuntmen's Association at LA Valley College. And I got to fight every single Wednesday on this big gauntlet, 50 feet by 50 feet with wires and weapons and trapezes and lines. And I was totally bruised and bloodied, never in the face, but I learned how to fight. And Nadira's character is offensive, aggressive, not defensive, like very rarely blocking anything, always pushing and pulling the punches. And so it was very detailed exactly how I was to fight. And they would show me, and then I just would pick it up and take it from there. And I did have stunt doubles as well. Anytime with the Stuntmen's Association Union, anytime you're in a high-speed car chase or in a really complicated fight scene, like on a wire or something, they always shoot it with a stunt person as well for safety. So it was really exciting to be able to do the fight scenes. That's probably my favorite part of the day, was to do those.
Well, you literally and figuratively kicked so much behind. You were great, like, and you know what? And I say this too, like, Nadira is comedic, yes, but you know what? She's just as dangerous as she is funny, though. Like, you see her in, you see her in combat. You see her, like, especially, which I'm gonna talk about later too, and like, how she's very like clever and manipulative too. Like, if you really look at it, she may be, a comical relief, yes, but you know what? Don't underestimate her, because she's just as dangerous as any villain. She's just as dangerous as Rancic.
You got it.
All I know is that, I mean, there is the old saying, Kate, hell have no fury like a woman's score, and I'm going to say this in a half joking, rhetorical way. Why would you? I've seen Kate, Nadira. I've seen your work as Nadira, and let's just say that I wouldn't mess with her. In fact, if anyone had to mess with Nadira, I'd be like, yeah, you're on your own. Good luck.
Thank you.
One of the best though, like, and let me just, because I have a couple of questions too. Like, I just got pulled them up. Let me just pull them up right here. We cover this one. Oh, here it is. What were your thoughts on how they created the monsters in the show, which was the animation chamber? Oh, sorry, reanimation chamber.
It was brilliant. It was so cool. And it actually sold action figures, I'm pretty sure. But it was so neat how they had it all the lair was a sound stage right next to the Rangers hangout in the clock tower, and literally back to back. But it was cool. You walk in and it's just had a vibe to it. It was dark, it had lighting, and then there's this reanimation chamber, and then there's the things that I'd open up that this dry ice would waft out of the freezer with the cryogenic freezing of all the bad guys. And so, boy, it was Nadira's dream. She could just go and access any sidekick she wanted anytime. And it was quite fun.
And I think some of Nadira's favorite monsters that she brought together, of course, was Dash, the race car driver, because I'll never forget this episode when you had Dash drive your character, drive your character on the show to a jewelry store, and you're like, which one looks better on me? And she goes, all of them. Well, that's great, then I'll just take all of them.
Yes, exactly. And I had Dash wearing some gold chains and necklaces too, which he promptly threw in the trash can and tried to escape me.
I was like, when I saw that, when I was rewatching, I was like, oh, come on, this woman gave you jewelry and you're turning it down. What is wrong with you, Dash?
He just wanted a banana with ketchup on it, so, and to race cars.
When I saw that, I was like, well. That's what I loved about Nadira, though. I mean, because like she had her one thing she absolutely loved, cash.
Cash.
And
Cash is
that,
king.
what was that?
Yeah, cash is king. I always was after the cash, where the bank or a store or whatever. Sorry, kids, it was a bad way to be. But of course, I'm redeemed at the end when I turn good, right?
Yes. And I gotta ask you though, because there was an episode. I gotta look at the episode though. I'm actually gonna look at the episode inside the case though. I think it was the third episode, because I have a copy myself too. This is my copy, but I got you one too, of course.
Oh, thank you.
And it's yours. I think it was,
thank you very much.
What was that?
Thanks.
Anytime. I think it was something to fight for, where like you go and you rob, like you got one of the guys, I don't know which villain it was though, but like instead of robbing a bank, he robbed a bus full of kids, and you were like, I wanted you to rob someone important, not a bunch of noisy brats.
I know that was really pushing it. The poor kids watching this show, but it definitely struck terror and fear in children's eyes when they saw that, because it was very real. And Nadira was really evil. So I'm sorry.
That's what I was going to ask you too. Like working with the kids in that particular scene though, like the kids and the bus driver.
Well, the bus driver is one of our stuntmen, Luke. And so, yeah, they would interchange some of the stuntmen here and there if they needed to, but yeah, the kids were definitely scared, and I spent most of my time off camera hanging out with them, chatting, drinking Kool-Aid with them, eating candy and snacks with them, and sitting and chatting, because they were kind of scared of me. And then we'd go back to filming and they would be right back to being scared, and then I'd sit down and eat more food and chat with them and tell them funny stories and try to be someone different, but then they'd go back to filming and be scared to death. So yep.
Well, you definitely did scare me too. In fact, when I was a 11-year-old boy, and I say to my, I used to say to like my other Power Ranger friends, I said, Nadira, the Kate Sheldon who played Nadira used to scare me when I was a kid. She really struck intimidation in me. Oh, bless her though, because those are the same childhood memories that I will always remember. So I'm going to remember like every single moment that Nadira has done though. And of course, and this is another one where you love watching TV though, as your character Nadira. There was one episode, I'm not sure which one it was. I don't know if it was Rancic Live or another episode, but you were watching TV while being pampered by the Cyclobots. What show was that?
That was The Masked Rider, I believe.
Oh, okay.
On the TV show. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's like that, Masked Rider. That's when I am getting my nails done, and Rancid comes in. I'm like, shh, I'm watching my show. Right?
You still got it, Kate.
Thank you.
Bless you. And also, I will say this too, much like I told Kat Brown when she was on the show with us, like, because she really you met Kat Brown before at the 2018 Morphicon. She and Katrina Devine really did fool me though, because for the longest time, I always thought, minus the Valley girl accent, I always thought that was their real voice. When I heard them talk for the first time, I was at awe when I heard them, because I didn't think that was their real voice.
You're right. You're right.
And
One of them had an Australian accent, right?
New Zealand.
New Zealand, that's right. So you're right, absolutely. That's great acting when you don't know that until you actually hear him talk in informal language. Yeah.
And I will say this too, much like Cat Brown, much like Katrina Devine, much like Amy Roll, which you also met at the 2016 WorfCon, you two are like comic. No, I'm sorry, not you two. You four are comic geniuses.
Thank you.
Because you were funny as you were dangerous, and that's why I always remember watching, Time Force and how entertained I will always be from all four of you.
Oh, thank you. What a fun team.
Anytime, Kate. Let me see what the next question is, because there's some questions that friends of mine wanted to ask too. I mean, some of the questions I talked to you about, all of them, those are some fan questions too.
Sure.
Here we go. Next question, and that is working. I don't know if we covered this or not, though. Memories with working with your dad, Vernon Wells. Did we cover that or no?
A little bit. It was kind of like a master's in acting class. He's classically trained, like Shakespearean theater trained, which the finest actors of all time. Not in the method acting, but classically Shakespearean. And he was just spellbinding to watch. And I had taken some acting classes, but I think his was the master's level. So it was brilliant to watch him and see how he would take his pauses and looks. And so I really, and I always was laughing. The first place I went after breakfast was to his trailer to sit down and have tea and just chat for the day and see how his wife was doing and how his dogs were doing and how his mother was doing. And so we're really good friends. We're all still friends today. In fact, all the Time Force family, we all hang out together, and it's a lovely thing. I don't know if all the casts are all that close, but we sure are.
Sweet. And I do gotta ask you too, because you are no stranger to crossover episodes, and I wanted to, this is going to be probably a 3-part question, depending on how it comes off, but I was going to ask your opinion and memory of working with the Lightspeed Rescue crew, which had, of course, Jennifer Yen, as well as working
Vipra.
I'm sorry?
Vipra.
And as well as working with the Wild Force crew, and both crossovers, one where you were the protagonist and one where you were the antagonist.
That's right. Very good observation. Well, Lightspeed was amazing. We filmed most of those scenes at the museum La Brea Tar Pits, where all the saber-toothed tigers have been found. And it was nighttime, and the oil in the air, the smell of the oil, it was like 100 degrees. And here comes Vipra in her cool outfit and that cool scooter car that she has, and her long nails too. So we filmed a lot of that there. And then also another fun fact is there is a subway underneath Los Angeles that is not used. I think it was built in the 1940s, and we got to film down in the subway tunnels. And they had to pipe in air. And when we were not filming, we were wearing masks, like full on end of the world gas masks with oxygen tanks. And then the air as well was being piped in, these giant, huge tubes. So we walked down these old staircases, and maybe it was like 1920. I don't know, I'd have to check the history, but it was ancient, archaic, Art Deco design. And it's not accessible to anybody, but I guess film crews. So Vipra and I and Vernon Rancic are going downstairs into this thick air of just exhaust and dust with masks on. So it was kind of cool to have masks on and be villainesses. And then we get into the scene, and it was super cold down there, which was great because it was 100 degrees out and above on the pavement. So that was the golden amulet or something. There was a crystal that she was holding, and it was lit up, and it was just surreal. It was very cool. So we got to do that. And then the big meetup scene with Lightspeed was out on the tarmac in Orange County at some kind of factory that had an airport that was not being utilized anymore, and hadn't been for probably 20, 30 years. Might have been a hazmat area, who knows? But we were filming there. And it was the big runway area, and that's when we're all the Lightspeed, all the Time Force, and then the villainesses and the villain were all there. And there was explosions and colors, and it was very exciting. It was riveting.
And I will say about that episode too, this just proves how dangerous Nadira can be, though. When Carter was about to destroy the amulet, you showed up with the Rangers held hostage. It's like you destroy that amulet and we destroyed them. So it was very clever of Nadira to, figuratively have them by the throat.
Yes, and I had a gun. I had a ray gun in that one. I only had the ray gun a couple of times, episode 1, and then it's when I whipped out my famous ray gun.
And that was a great scene. And of course, you also appeared in the Wild Force crossover as good as a reformed good guy. What were your memories filming that one, and especially the ending though, where we got to see a great closure to Lucas and Nadira going off hand in hand in the distance?
Yes, I think Lucas was a little bit intimidated by the other Blue Ranger who was juggling and flirting with me too. So he had to show that he was my main interest, of which Nadira was delighted. But that was a lovely picnic scene, especially having Rancic in a Hawaiian shirt.
That was great.
And then all of us running through the field, arm in arm. It was just awesome. It was such a great way to end instead of them killing me off.
I'm so glad, and I believe, that's one of those rare times where, the villains, are not destroyed at the end, though. Like, I mean, we've had villains either get purified, destroyed, but, some don't walk away, with, just, having a, happy ending.
Yeah, lucky me. I'm really grateful that that was the way it ended. And it was super fun to be in teaming up with Wild Force as well, and having met Lightspeed Rescue as well. So it was great. Some of the best years were filming the Power Rangers.
Is it safe to say that Nadir's catchphrase will always be "as if"?
As if.
Because you said that like.
Doy.
What was that?
Doy. She said
Doy.
Doy a couple times.
I love. I mean, also, well, like the your delivery is impeccable, just as your facial expressions are. Because I remember when you broke one, they broke one of your nails, and then one of them says, "Oh, you got 9 more," and you give them a look like. That was funny, though.
Exactly. Never break Nadira's nails or get in big trouble.
Yeah. I would never cross Nadira. I know she's very dangerous. Now, and that leads to my next question, though. Did you have a favorite Nadira line or moment?
Well, I had quite a few. Probably my favorite one was not one that Nadira said, it was one Lucas said. He said, "Nadira's got wheels." That was in the last race episode. Yeah, "Daddy, I need a new dress. This one got filthy from lying on the street" was very famous too. That just showed everybody right away who she was.
And my favorite line will always be, and we're going to talk about this episode very soon, will always be when you find out after, unfortunately, the Blue Ranger, Lucas, had to break it off with Nadira. So she goes on a mystery date with Gluto. And then
yes.
when he gives you the rose and you go, "I'm desperate, but I'm not that desperate." And then you flip the table.
Yes. I love that scene. It was so much fun. I got to do it 3 times. They had to reset the table 3 times. The food was everywhere. The blue juice was everywhere. But it was so great to be, "I'm desperate, but I'm not that desperate."
Oh, it was incredible. You, like I said, and this is another reason I can give you, and I don't mean this with any hyperboles, Kate, but I can give you 1,000 reasons why, Nadira is so criminally underrated, pun intended. I thought, the character was always funny. I thought she was entertaining, and we talked about, the late, great James Brown, like how he was the godfather of soul. You're not only, and also the hardest working man in show business, but Nadira is not Nadira, I'm sorry. You are the godmother, not only the godmother of charisma, but you're also the hardest working woman in entertainment.
Oh, thank you.
Um,
But I was on my toes the entire time, every day, 14 hours a day. It was fun.
And we mentioned Nadira's dream date, though. Memories of shooting that episode, of course, working with Michael.
Oh, well, it was so much fun to be sitting at the table and Nadira suddenly having read romance novels had a southern accent and her dreamboat had just arrived and she was just about to get her first kiss. And he was like, "What? Oh my gosh, what am I doing here? How did this happen?" And I remembered the costumes, the dresses. Another amazing thing with the wardrobe department is every time I walked in my trailer, there was some cool outfit. The Pink Ranger was always like, "You have the best outfits and the best lines," she always said. So I remembered putting on those romance novel dresses and sashaying in. And And there he is sitting at the table. But it was brilliant when he came back the second time with his dirty socks, stinking disgustingly, and his laundry for me to do. And it was totally, Nadira had been getting everything she ever wanted her whole life. And now she wasn't going to get Lucas. And it was completely not comprehensible. So, but she didn't want it to be over. She just was in love with love.
Oh man, that was one of my favorite episodes. I mean, this is where I think Time Force should have won an Emmy because of scenes like that, where you were just, just nailing it, just being an absolute nailing with, with such, powerful performance. Like, and I loved that episode because, and also at the risk of being sympathy for the villain, showing some sympathy for the villains, I showed a lot of sympathy for Nadira when he came in the dirty attire because it was like, oh, come on, man. Why do you got to let her off like this way? There's got to be some kind of more noble way to do this.
It was the only way. It was brilliant that Katie and Aaron came up with that. But on the Emmy topic, the Quantum Ranger was nominated for an Emmy that year, as a matter of fact. He'd shown great range of acting in being the Quantum Ranger, Daniel Southworth. And he had a tough competitor list. But he was actually nominated for an Emmy, and it was wonderful. He played an interesting part. He added lots of layers to it. He had been a stuntman on this series for a couple of years, from what I understand. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of the stunts, you can completely identify his face, because he was really adept at pulling off all these very complicated stunts repeatedly. He's a very good actor and a very good stuntman as well.
Very cool. And here's what I didn't know until I did some more research though. Remember the monster? I forgot what the name of the villain was, where he can mimic people's voices. He mimicked your voice too.
Yes.
The guy that actually voiced him actually played Carter in Lightspeed Rescue. Sean C.W. I'm trying to remember what his last name was.
That was Miracon? Is that the one? I'm wearing the shirt from Miracon, as a matter of fact. He voiced my voice.
Yeah, that was actually him. I mean, that was you, like doing the voice, but the actual monster was voiced by the same guy that played Carter in Lightspeed Rescue, and I didn't.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing! I know that they frequently brought in previous cast members to do certain voiceovers of monsters. I'd met a few of them in there, and from years past as well. I know that Bree, the Circuit, the owl, she has been a voice of several others in years past as well, but Circuit was her most famous one.
And you mentioned Circuit too, because there's another episode I want to talk to you about though. I'm trying to remember. I gotta look it up because I have it here with the questions too. Let me just see what episode that was, because it was just give me a second. I think it was what was it? I'm just trying to see what episode it was. Pardon me. I think it was Short Circuit. I think that was the name.
Yes, where I stole Circuit.
Yes, that was the one. And I remember when Trip put down Circuit right near you while you were having the hot dog and the drink, which I'm going to ask you what that drink was. But before you answer that question, I remember when he put Circuit down right near you, I'm like, no, she's going to steal it. I remember as that little boy, he's like, why would you do that? She's going to steal him.
And I did. It was very well planned and very exciting to have the disguise on and to reveal myself. It's me. I've been held hostage my whole life by my evil father. It's not my fault. Totally bought it. And then we sat down, we're having lunch, and being from the future, I never had a hot dog before. And it was disgusting. It was just, they had a spit barrel. And so I was like, because we had to do take after take after take. But they gave me a Coca-Cola. That's what I was drinking.
Cool.
And yeah. And then I stole them and of course ran off and was trying to reconfigure his wiring so I could use him for my own evil purposes. And that's when we filmed in an old train car in Commerce City. And that's in the downtown LA area, kind of in the train district and the transpo district. No one really lives there. It's just really polluted and dirty. And a food truck was our lunch. And we all got food poisoning that day. And we still worked. And we just had the spit barrel because we're all getting sick. Even the crew was upset from the food truck. It wasn't the usual catering, unfortunately.
Now, and I'm so sorry that you had the food poisoning. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Um, Now, what were your memories filming the final three-part episode, End of Times, where I remember the first part where you're battling one of the rangers, and then you see a pregnant woman, and then you don't know, like Nadira doesn't know what to do. And I remember one of the first reactions you did when she tried to help her was like try to pat her, and you're like, and filming that three-part episode. What were your memories?
Well, Nadira didn't grow up with a mom, so she didn't really have a mom instinct or have any mom role model. So she didn't know what to do other than like, oh, I hope you're okay. And then suddenly, oh, she's not. I'm going to have to help and deliver this baby. And that's what turned me good, is having a human experience, because I'm half human, right? Half mutant, half human. And so it was such a conflict in personality, or you could say a growth in personality in becoming who Nadira is supposed to be, that I had spent almost a whole year being evil and spoiled and rotten and just imperious and mean. But now I had empathy. And the Koichi Sakamoto was explaining to me, this is a new character design for Nadira. And he had me practice 3 or 4 times just to make sure that I was getting it, because it was no longer evil. It was empathetic. So it was amazing to go through that transformation and then be amidst the end of the world, and then be able to survive and help people through it.
That was a really powerful episode too. I remember watching an episode, and when you deliver the baby and you're holding the baby in the hand, it was a very, emotional, powerful scene. And I remember watching it as a kid. I was like, this is really cool. We got to see the good side. This is where you start seeing Nadira seeing like that all the, not all humans are bad, and why do we hate them? Like, that's the real message of the theme of the show, is like, why do mutants hate humans? Like, that's where you start to question Rancic and his motive, and then go 180 and turn, good, and you try to reason with him. And fortunately, he at first did not listen to your plea until like when he was battling Jen, and then you saved the baby's life, I remember. And then and you were like, this is why you were telling him, I'm going to paraphrase here, like, this is why, not all humans are bad. Look at this, daddy, like, look at the baby, like, how is this bad?
That was a newborn baby too. The lady had brought her to set. There were 2 of them, because you just have to have 2 children that look alike at the same time. And I was holding this baby, and I was awestruck by the purity and beauty of this sweet little baby who was looking up at me and not scared. And most kids are scared to death. And there was smoke everywhere, and there was destruction, and I had black on my face from being blown up. And so, yeah, it was not really hard to act that one out, because this little baby was real, and Nadira felt it.
You did a phenomenal job in that episode, though. Like, how you went from like, I'm not done fighting you, to like, why are we, fighting the humans, father? Why are we like this? Not every human's bad. You have to explain to me, why do we hate humans so much? Why? Because why do us mutants have to hate them? I mean, surely not all of them are bad.
It's kind of a socially conscious topic today, and it always has been over time. We're all people. Why can't we just get along?
I agree. And also, I want to get your memories on working with the peoples in the suit, because I asked this question to Kat Brown too when she was on the show. How is it working with like someone that's like a Gluto, or like a big fat catfish, or like any of these monsters, or Dash, where you have to work with them, but the people that dub the voice are not the same people in the costume, right?
Right, but the people in the costumes are the stuntmen, and because they're the ones who can hold these huge, heavy costumes up. They're usually smaller than they are, and it was Luke, TJ, Ruben, and one other constantly, and they were funny, and they would talk really loud so you could hear them, and they would act out the voice. So whoever ended up doing the voiceover didn't have too hard of a job, because I was able to react to the people in the costumes, whether it was Frax or Gluto, my usual sidekicks, because they made it really easy with their loud acting, and they did a great job. Even though their faces weren't moving, they were body movements, arm movements, rotational. It seemed real, so it was easy to act, easy to work with.
I think also too, and this going back to the Wild Force Time Force crossover, you'll be proud of me on this one, Kate, because I believe yeah, Nadira, like when they went to see her again and ask her for help, I believe she was a teacher, right? Like she was
A preschool teacher.
um that's kind of, I mean, I'm a, you know, in real life, and you know, I'm actually a teacher assistant for special needs children.
Oh, wow. That is wonderful. I'll bet you're very good at it because you are so engaged and you have such strong positive energy. I'll bet the kids love you.
Thank you. You know, I try, and you know what? When I have the like, you know, I try to do like entertainment. Like, you know, I would bring in like, I have like Jim Henson style puppets. So where I would bring in like, and I have not many. I mean, I couldn't like, I bought it one time, and it was like a, you've seen Aladdin, right? The 1992 Aladdin. There's a
Yes.
genie puppet where like the rod, you could control it and you control his mouth. So I had one of those, like, and I would bring it in. And I would sing the song "Never Had a Friend Like Me" in the tone of Robin Williams to the kids.
You have a lot of voices and accents and different total character voices. So I can totally see you doing that.
Thank you. And I would say too, like, you know, you're definitely influential you know, inspirational too, Kate, sorry.
Oh,
Uh,
thank you.
you are, because like, you know, like how, and I'm actually going to tell you a story I told Vernon Wells too, because it actually, I told him, like, I told when I had Vernon and Latham on the show, I told them how both men were both, you know, I mean, aside from my own family, were very influential to me growing up. And I shared the story with Vernon, how, like, you know, where you and him were very influential with me, you know, growing up, because I'll be honest with you, Kate, when I was younger, I was a shy, timid, you know, serious-minded, mostly serious-minded, like Ranger Smith from the Yogi Bear cartoons, like that kind of thing.
Oh,
Um, so it was really like seeing your personalities, like the one that you portrayed in Time Force, the way Vernon portrayed Rantic in Time Force, that made me in high school want to do you know, take up theater though, to like, you know, and it really watching this, it's like, how can I emulate the great Kate Sheldon? How can I emulate Vernon Wells? How do I have the career, like emulate their charisma?
just be you. Just be you. That's the bet. Only one you. And work.
You're right. And I said like I did have a little like, you know Nadira and Rantic inspiration when I'm performing, like when they did a spring musical, A Fiddler on the Roof, for my high school back in like in this was 2009, senior. I was a senior in high school, and I just, you know, I mean, I was being myself, but I also thought to myself, what would Kate Sheldon do? What would Vernon Wells do? And then I'm picturing, you know, Kate delivering an incredible line as Nadira. I'm picturing Vernon saying an incredible line as Rantic, and then I just went out there and got the part.
Can you give me an example? Can you sing it?
What was that?
Well, can you give me an example? Can you sing it of a line from Fiddler on the Roof?
Oh yeah. I'll do the To Life song. It's like, how'd it go? To our prosperity, to our good health and happiness, and most important of all, to life, lahayim, 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 to life. And then there was a line though. It's like to Laser Wolf, to Tevia, to Seidel, your daughter, my wife, and may all your futures be blessings of which we are very proud of. Drink lahayim to life. We'll drink a glass of, sip a drop of schnapps in honor of the good, great Lord that favors you. We know that when good fortune favors to such men, it stands a reason we deserve it too. I just thought about like how, like, you know, because when you perform, Kate, when you and Vernon perform, I just don't even see a script. I just see two people naturally, like, you know, acting, natural charisma.
Thank you. That's the biggest compliment ever. Thank you.
Absolutely. And I could see, like, you know, with Aladdin, like how Nadira, like how your character Nadira is very similar to Iago from Aladdin. And I'll give you an example of why. Because in the episode, you know, where you turn good though, it reminds me of when Iago turned on Jafar, and then he joined Aladdin, and then, but despite being, you know, a good guy, he wasn't a goody two shoes. He still kept the same persona, and just that he was a good guy. And that's what I saw in Nadira. Like she's good now, but however, doesn't mean she doesn't change the personality. She's still the same, you know, charismatic, you know, classy, you know, woman that she is.
Thank you. Well, I do a lot of appearances at schools and churches and children's hospitals, and I typically give the good versus evil talk. And it's important to convey that there is good on the earth, and evil is not as great as one might think. No matter how tempting it looks, it's not really that glamorous, and you can still maintain your personality and be good and do good with your personality, not evil.
It's true. And you know what? I'm going to use this analogy too. Like you, I mean, you and of course, you've seen Wizard of Oz, right? The 1936 Wizard of Oz. You're you're very much like Margaret Hamilton, and that, you're like the way you perform like her. You're like your style is very similar to hers, where like she's portraying like this, I'm gonna get you type, witch. But in actuality, Margaret Hamilton is one of the most sweetest people that you can meet, and just it's very similar to like you played one of the most vicious, deadliest, comedic villains of all time. But in reality, Kate Sheldon is one of the most nicest people that you can meet. In fact, getting to know you, Kate, like I could say this, like, and I would say this to you, Amy Rowe, Vernon Wells, Cat Brown, Katrina Devine, like on screen, they are dangerous, vicious, evil villains. But you know what? In reality, if saints can walk this earth, or if angels can walk this earth, this would explain you guys.
Thank you.
Anytime. And
you are just have the nicest things to say. Oh my goodness.
Like I said,
my whole weekend right now.
Am I blue? Because I did say like I was gonna say so much nice things. I probably would be blue in the face. Oh man, but and also I do want to get your thoughts on this because you participated in 2 Morphicons. You took part in the 2016 Morphicon Villains panel for 2016 and 18. Your memories of doing those panels?
Oh, they were super fun. In 2016, Vernon and I went on stage for a Time Force panel, and we started chatting it up, Papa and Nadia, the daughter, and we went on and on for 10 minutes, and the rest of the cast were standing off stage watching because the audience was freaking out. We had this whole repartee banter going on and on and on for the first 10 minutes because we couldn't stop. It was so much fun. It was my first appearance at Morphicon, and the whole cast had always been there, but I had been the missing person for all those years. And I finally agreed to, and I'm so glad I did, and I won't miss one again. But that was really fun. And then just being a part of the whole panel discussion where everyone was reliving the moments and remembering certain moments and being all together was great. And then afterwards, we all would meet in the lobby of the hotel and go out to dinner. And my daughter's really good friends with the Red Rangers daughters. Now there was some live stream that did a wonderful show called The Power Daughters, and it was the Red Rangers daughters and mine. And so we're just a big happy family. And it was great to get together. I wish it wasn't every 2 years. It would be nice if it was every single year. And now we have to wait till next year.
Oh man. And I hope, I say this too, like, I told like my friends this, I told Kat Brown this when she was on the show, how like there's a bucket list of people I've always wanted to meet on Power Rangers. I mean, so far in person, because last year they had something in Brooklyn, in Greenpoint called PowCon. And there was Justin Nimmo was there, who played the Silver Ranger in his space. Christopher Kamen Lee was there. He played Andros in space. Steve Carderas, who played Rocky in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, was there, among others. There's so many cast members from Power Rangers, including you. You're on that list too. That I always wanted to meet in person though, because I grew up like, and I told Cat Brown, Latham Gaines, and Vernon Wells this when I had them on my show. But I said this to them: if I was at that 2018 panel, which I watched, I thought it was a great panel. You were there, Cat Brown was there, Katrina Devine was there, Melanie Perkins, Hillary Shepard, Adelaide Kane, Vernon Wells, and of course Patrick Davis, who played the Psycho Ranger. First thing I would have said though, if I was at that panel, Kate, I would have said. This is what I would have said. I would have said, first off, before I ask my question, let me just say, I want to say thank you to everyone on the panel for not only, coming here, but thank you for all those childhood memories you gave me watching Power Rangers as a kid. I was there when Nadira had her date with the Blue Ranger. I was there when Rancic killed the original Red Ranger. I was there when astronomer resurrected the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to take over the in space sword. I was there when Divatox, destroyed the Turbo Ranger sword. Like, I've been a fan for so long. Like, I was a fan of Kate. I was a fan of yours, Kate, and Vernon's when I was 11-year-old boy. I was a fan of Hillary when I was a seven-year-old boy. I was a fan of Cat Brown and Katrina Devine when I was a 13-year-old and 14-year-old lad. Like, Power Rangers was definitely something big for me growing up. And yeah.
Yeah, it's a part of your life. Absolutely. It was a regular part. You'd wake up every Saturday morning and turn that TV on. This is before things were actually recorded. And it was like we were in your living room with you.
It was incredible though. Like the years, the countless memories you've given me watching Power Rangers, like growing up, Kate. Like, like every, quick wit, every charisma, sharp as attack, wit that you had though. Like, it was just incredible though. Like I could see, like, Nadira saying in a Yago voice, like, if the Rangers cornered her and Rancic, you would be the first one in character to say, well, that's it. You know what? Dig a grave for both of us. We did. That's it. We're done. That's what the type of thing that Nadira would say, though, because she's so charismatic. I mean, like I said this earlier, how Nadira was so criminally underrated. Again, unintended. You just had like the quick wig. I mean, you have the natural, and I mean, this, put emphasis on, but you had the natural pizzazz.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and I remember in the 2016 Morphicon when one of the guys had a question, and the moderator said you could only ask 2 people, and I remember you looking like this. You were like pointing like at like you and Vernon.
Yes.
Great stuff though. Like, and I think that was also the Morphicon where not only did one person ask Vernon, like, if he can travel through time, why didn't he stop the original 1993 Rangers? And when he said that, I'm like, Ixnay, don't you're gonna make him mad.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And then that was also the same panel too, where someone in character asked Latham Gaines as Mesogog to threaten the crowd.
That's pretty brash.
Yeah. That was wow. I was like, when I heard that, I was like, wow. And of course, let me see, because I have a couple of other questions too before we conclude, though. Let me see. Here we go.
I've got about 5 minutes left. Is that okay?
Yes, of course. No,
I have to run out to the ranch and take care of 9 horses. They're hungry. It's their time.
If that's the case, I have 2 more questions, and then I'm gonna, and then we'll I'll have a special thing that's an open forum where you can talk about anything. But first, let me ask these. I'm gonna ask these 2 questions to you, and that is, we've had specials Forever Red, where every Red Ranger, from each season appeared and to take on the forces of evil, though. And I asked this question to every villain I had on my show: Cat Brown, Amy Roll, I believe. Of course, Vernon Wells and Latham Gaines. But don't you think that there should have been a Forever Villain episode where all the villains from every single Power Rangers franchise come together to take over the world just for the fun of it?
Kept waiting for the call. Vernon and I kept waiting for the call. We were ready to go.
Yep.
We had some ideas for the script, and one of them was like Phantom of the Opera, because Vernon's faceplate was kind of like the Phantom's mask. And so we were going to have him revisit Phantom of the Opera. And there were all kinds of ideas that we had, but it's not too late. It could happen.
I agree. And last, question I got to ask to before we conclude it, I'm going to have, because, there's going to be a small segment we're going to do where you could say anything you want to talk about. But my question is, like, how do you want the fans to remember Nadira?
As turning good, no matter what her past was, that she was redeemed and turned good and served good, not evil, from there on.
Okay. And awesome. And would you? And I have to ask this too because there's an episode that I had a Forever Villain special with Latham Gaines and Vernon Wells. The second one I want to do would be featuring the four-horse villainess. Pardon me, four-horse villainess of the Power Rangers post-Zordon era, which is you, Cat Brown, Katrina Devine, and Amy Roll. If I can make that episode happen next month or in August, would you be open to doing the show again?
I'm in.
Awesome. And okay, now before we conclude, Kate, this is the part of the show where because my show is an open forum, you could talk about anything you want. You can say anything you want. The floor is yours, Miss Sheldon.
Well, thank you. I didn't expect that. It's very gracious of you to offer it. Well, it's very interesting. The very last month of filming, when the last episode of Time Force was released, happened to be the weekend of 9/11. And so you were, let's see, you were 11 years old, almost 12, right?
Mm-hmm.
So September. And the last scene involved a bunch of Cyclobots climbing up the clock tower and going to get the Rangers. And they deleted completely that scene because it reminded people of the Twin Towers. And so it's interesting 20 years later looking today and that our world is still in a frightening place. So it's nice to have a little escape like Power Rangers to go and get lost into watching some other world to just reflecting on 20 years later. It's interesting.
Awesome. And I did want to show you like a few pictures though, where I said you're very influential and inspirational, of course, to this old boy from Brooklyn. I was so anticipated on having you though that I actually ran 1.5 miles on the Coney Island boardwalk because that's how anticipated I was. I was like, I'm gonna have this legend come on. This is gonna be great.
Thank you. That's awesome.
And here's there's 2 pictures I want to show you though, because today was my sister's birthday, and we had like an Alice in Wonderland theme party for her.
Oh, what's your sister's name?
This is the picture I wanted to show you though, and this is how long we've been fans of Power Rangers though. Let me just pull it up.
Mm-hmm.
You have time?
Oh, yep. And then I'll show you what the props are that I have in the background if you have time.
So this was a picture like of me and my sister. See, we have the original Power Rangers shirts on.
Oh my goodness. That's amazing.
And there's another picture I wanted to show you too, where like, this is how far I go back with Power Rangers though. Let me just pull it up. And it was like incredible too. Like, let me just, sorry, just give me a second.
What is your sister's name?
Elissa.
Elissa, and is it her birthday today?
Yeah, we did. We had a birthday for her. We had a Alice in Wonderland theme party for her.
Happy birthday to you. You live in a zoo. Happy birthday, dear Elissa. Happy birthday to you.
Love it. Awesome. And I'm going to show you a picture. I'm going to try to pull it up. See, because this actually goes all the way back to like, hopefully, if I can pull it up, like 1994.
Oh, wow.
If I can pull it up, let me see.
Okay.
All right. Might not be able to see. February. All right, let's see what we got here. Well, first of all, let me show you this picture though, because this is where you were very inspirational. Because you know, like when you do the mad face, when you do the zap like this. This is Halloween last year. This is you. You inspired me. You inspired me to like make that. I did the trademark Nadira grin.
Yes, evil grin. Very good.
Thank you.
Love it, love it.
Thank you. And here it is. Look, this was me, first day of kindergarten in 1995 with the original lunchbox, and here I am, first day back at work, 2020.
You got it going on. Those are some collector items. That's pretty great.
Yeah, thank you. And but yeah, like, and again, I'd love to have you back on. You've been, you know, an awesome guest. Well, actually, that was pun intended. An awesome guest star, phenomenal actress, and you're gonna expect as a bonus for being an awesome guest, expect this in the mail. You get this.
Thank you very much.
And not only that, Kate, you also have a special Team Nadira jersey heading your way.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to wear that at Morphicon. I can't wait. I'll wear it on an airplane too.
And to pay homage to you, I had it in black and no, I had it in pink and white.
Perfect. That's perfect.
And all my guest stars too, like I do like either a jersey for them and a personalized shirt. So once I have the other shirt done, send your way.
Thank you so much. That is very generous of you. I much appreciate it.
Thank you. And before we conclude, I'm going to do something that you deserve for many years, and that is thank you, Kate. Thank you, Kate. You deserve it. You deserve it. Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Kate.
Thank you, Peter. That was a lovely interview. You're awesome. I'm really grateful to be on your show.
Awesome, Sheldon. And I hope to have you back on next month or August for Villains Appreciation Part 2. And I pay tribute to you not only with this background, but with this customized shirt with you on it.
Oh my gosh, that is awesome.
Yep. And I can't wait to hear from you in the future. And I'm gonna be sending those out ASAP. Your
awesome.
Gifts.
I have something I'm going to send you too. So we'll be in touch.
You're awesome. Just private message me your address so I could get them out right away.
Sounds good.
Wait, you said you were going to show me props?
Oh, yes. So that's Francois Olivier, my cat that was on the set, as you know, and he's got my choker necklace on him. He was my stuffed animal sidekick. And then the lamp is also from the set. And this is my director's chair. Vernon Wells actually gave it to me. And it was one of his from Weird Science, I think. So it is now my director's chair. And then I have a whole bunch of costumes that now that I look, the light has changed. Everything's dark on my luggage rack, but I have about 20 costumes that Nadira got to wear. And I'm wearing one of them right now. This is from the episode with Miracon. And so I usually wear these at the Morphicon as well. And next time we talk, I'll have another costume on for you to see.
Awesome. And thank you for not only the childhood memories you gave me watching Time Force, but thank you for coming on this show. There's an old saying, I feel like a kid in the candy store. No, I don't feel like that. I feel more like that kid renting Power Ranger videos at Blockbuster Video or an Elton John concert.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. That sounds great. What a great comparison.
Awesome. And you take care. I'm gonna definitely send you a copy of this, and all your gifts are gonna come within next month. I promise.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I really enjoyed this.
Thank you so much. And you have an awesome night.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.